This is the final video for tutorial number 4, and I want to show you how to add additional data that might be in a spreadsheet or another database. But just before I do that, I just want to show you in terms of data exploration. If you right click on a field, you have this little statistics button. So if you click that, it will basically just give you a summary of the data in terms of minimum, maximum value, the mean, the sum, even the standard deviation you can get from here. Okay, so just take note of this. If you quickly want to see which town, what's the town of the most people, for instance, or what's the river segment with the longest length, we can see it's 197 kilometers that we have here. Okay, so let's say you have the situation where you have additional information available to you. Just going to go to the correct folder. It's the select data folder. Additional information available to you about a data set that you would like to link to that data set. So I'm just going to open this spreadsheet so that we can see. We have a spreadsheet here. It's called Mines Machines. Okay, so let's open it up. And what we can see on this spreadsheet, okay, is we have a reference number, okay, which we probably is a reference number that we can link to a specific mine, I think. And then we have a field broken and fixed, and I think this will then imply how many machines are still broken and how many have been fixed or something like that. Okay, but see, it's not important what it is. What is important is there might be a database that we would like to link to our existing data set. So if we open Mines attribute table, okay, we can see there's no such fields indicating how many machines are broken and fixed. Okay, we want to link it to this. Okay, I just scored this. Okay, and we also had this field in the spreadsheet, right? Okay, so that means we can use this unique identifiers to link the two. So how do we do this? I'm going to go to add data, and I'm going to add the spreadsheet. Okay, so when you work with a spreadsheet, you'll find you'll have to double click it and then select the applicable sheet. Remember, a spreadsheet has different sheets inside of it. Okay, you need to select the one that you want to use. Okay, and it will immediately jump to the list by source because it's a table now that can't be spatially displayed here. So we can't use the list by drawing order anymore. It needs to display it in the list by source window. Okay, so if I open this, I can see, okay, we have this reference number, we have the broken and the fixed. Okay, so we have the information in the table. Now I know there's a identifier here that I can use to link these two tables to one another. So what I want to do is right click on my mines, and you'll see there's a join and relate option. Okay, so join and relate are ways in which we can link tables to one another. Relate, let's just read the description, and associate data in a table to this layer or standalone table via relationship. Unlike a join, a relate does not append the associated data to the layer. So if I use relate, what will happen is the software will just make a link to that table, but it won't transfer that information to this attribute table. If we use join, we transfer it. Okay, so I'm going to use join because then I can see it. I can see it's there. I know it's there, and I can save that data permanently. But sometimes you might want to just relate it. There might be reasons for that. Okay, but for the sake of this exercise, let's just use join, and it opens the join data window, and it's going to ask us, what do you want to join to this layer? All right, so I want to join attributes from a table. What field? Okay, we now saw this is the reference field, and the moment I select it, it automatically selects it in that database that I added. So it picked up there's only one table that I can select, and it automatically found this similar column or field that can be used to link the two. Okay, and I'm going to say keep all records. That just means, let's say there are some records in this table that can't be related. that don't have a reference number, it will also transfer them. If you only want to transfer the ones that match, let's say keep only matching records. Okay, so let's, for the sake of this exercise, say keep only those that can be matched to mines in my mines data set. Gonna say okay. If I open this up, open attribute table, and I move right to the end, I can see, okay, these new fields along with the empty ones. Okay, so this just means the Excel spreadsheet was not cleaned up. All right, but the important thing is the new fields, the fields from the table, has now been linked based on that unique identifier. So you'll check throughout 132, it's been linked to 132, and the value has been carried over. Okay, so what does this mean? This means I can now use this when I do select by attributes. I can now go to active mines and say, all right, I want to know which mines have, just double click broken, have broken machines of less than, let's say, 3. Okay, let's just, see, I made a mistake. What mistake? I said select from current selection, because that's what I used in the previous selection. And that's important. This select by attributes, it saves the previous options. All right, so you always have to go back and check. Okay, now I'm going to do a new selection. So apply. Okay, and let's just zoom out. There seems to be a few of them. Okay, that have less than 3 broken machines. Okay, so now I can use this in my selection. Note that the fields change now. Okay, we have active mines dot and a field name and database dot. Okay, so this is because I made this join. So it tells me which were the original fields in the dataset and which are the new ones. So what I could do is I can go and say data, export data. Just going to go to my temporary folder here. And specify a shapefile, because I'm just saving in a regular folder. Sorry, I have an issue with my format that I just used now. Let me just unselect first. Go data, export data. Okay, so this is interesting. This is just to show you're not the only ones that experience issues with ArcMap. Okay, and weird stuff that's not supposed to happen. So this just now happened to me. I'm not sure what's going on, so I'm just going to try something else. Going to export it to a geodatabase. See if that helps as a feature class. See what happens. Okay, so there that works. So there's something wrong with the shapefile format if I want to export it, but I can export it to a geodatabase. I'm not sure what it is because it works for a feature class, but that's the thing with GIS and spatial data and technology. And that's something you should also know. We frequently come across issues that we can't immediately explain, but don't worry. If you're going to do a test or something like that and issues like this jumps off, that's why we're there to check that it's not something you're doing wrong, but it's something, in fact, an issue of data. And then we'll find a workaround and help you. Okay, so don't stress about it, but it sometimes do happen. But many times it's mistakes that we make that causes this. Okay, but what I just wanted to show you now is that I exported it to a new layer, and if I zoom it to the end, you can see I have it there now. Okay, and if I use this temp mines, everything changes to the name of the field. That's because I made that join permanent by exporting. So the moment I exported, it took the information from the table and merged it permanently to this new layer. Okay, so this is not permanent. So what I can do is I can say remove the join. Okay, and if I open this attribute table again, I'll find they're gone again. Okay, that's because it's only join and relate is only temporary. To make it permanent, you need to export your data. Similar to the GPS coordinates, if you plot it, if you want to make it permanent, you need to export it. All right. So those are the important skills that you need for practical 4. Okay, so I would propose that you play around with the example data for the tutorials first before moving to the practicals. For the practical, you're going to start off by georeferencing a JPEG to a boundary that I give you, and you have to use that to capture new data. Okay, so you have to create new features such as points in a new shapefile that you used in your first practical. So you're building on your skills now, because you're going to use that to create new data and put that on a map. So you have to do a map layout. So that's your practical 3 skills, right? So you need to apply that, and also some symbology that you learned up to now. You have to apply that to do question 1. For question 2, I'm going to ask you a few questions about the coordinate systems, and then question 3 is going to be a combination of creating new fields, calculating geometry, doing select by attributes, select by location, and hybrid selections. So you're going to have to apply all those skills to give answers to the question that I'm asking you. And it's going to take you some time, so don't expect it to be a quick practical. Some of these questions are a bit tricky, and that's because I want to see that you are able to apply these tools effectively, and you're going to need these skills in your practical exam. Okay, so don't rush it, and don't just get answers from your friends. Okay, you might have a nice mark for your practical then, but you're going to fail in the exam. Okay, and in the exam, if you aren't able to do this right, you can't continue with your question. Okay, so it's gonna, because I'm going to ask you to manipulate the data first, and then you can continue. You need to use that manipulated data to answer the rest of the question. So it's very important that you are able to do this. Okay, so please do this on your own. You can ask for help, obviously, and you can help one another, but you need to ensure that you are able to do this on your own. Okay, that you understand what you're doing, that you understand the different selection methods, that you understand if you want to calculate geometry, you need to you specify the correct projection spatial reference system in order to do that, and all the detail that I discussed in the tutorial.